Gracefully and Frankly is generously sponsored by our friends at Sierra Sil. They're so sure, in fact, we are as users of this hydrothermal mineral complex, so sure it works on your joints that they offer a money-back guarantee.
Visit their website, Sierra Sil, Sierra like the mountains, SIL.com. And if you make a purchase, use your code GF for 10% off.
Well, hello, brand new month, brand new show, episode 76. I'm Erin Davis.
I'm Lisa Brandt, and we are going to talk about, well, what do you call them? Thongs or flip-flops, or what do you call them? I wasn't allowed to wear them, so there you go.
Oh, no.
I know.
Well, we'll find out the story behind that. Just like Lisa not appreciating the random whistler. Do you know one? Are you one? Are you married to one? Okay, well, you should know it's ticking Lisa off, but in a funny way.
I hope to hear from people explaining the random whistler's motivations.
Oh, I can't wait. We really dig into the deep stuff here today. We're also going to look back at a commonality when it comes to when the favorite part of your life was. It's not a laundry list. It's a very common theme. We'll explore that.
Also, loneliness and friendships, relationships, how important they are to your life, and how to get those relationships back if you find yourself needing some people in your life.
For sure, you can keep on cultivating them, and a fireworks initiative in Lisa's neighborhood that you might want to take on too. It is all ahead. Boy, howdy, it's a good thing we got a good night's sleep last night getting ready for this show.
Darn tootin'.
Boy, howdy, and darn tootin'. Well, have we all been watching Toy Story or Yosemite Sam? Anyway, go on.
To infinity and beyond. We talk about the copper-infused envy pillows, and this is not like taking a piece of copper pipe and just throwing it on your pillow. They have special copper content. Copper has so many wonderful properties, and at Envy Pillow, they have infused their copper deeply into the natural fabric strands of the pillow, and you get it right through the pillow, not just in pockets. It's really good for you. I was reading more reviews. I love to read reviews of Envy Pillows, especially people that have come to love their Envy Pillow through Gracefully and Frankly. And one woman said it's the first time she's been able to find a pillow that supported her head, was good to her neck, and had copper in it because she already knew about the benefits of copper. And that's all in the Envy Pillow. There's much more to it, of course.
There are so many parts of what makes it special, and you can read all about them. Find the pillow right for you at envypillow.com. Use the code GF for 10% off. Well, an official welcome to June to you. Happy Pride Month, and of course all of the significant Indigenous events that happen this month as we get rolling toward Canada Day. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I was saying to Derek on our walk this morning that it was a little bit misty, and we need to change it from April showers bring May flowers to June showers bring July flowers, maybe, or May, because May was really wet here. I don't know if it was for you.
Oh, just brutal, Lisa. So much rain, temperatures in the low teens. And they have something here that I first heard when I moved here about, well, coming up on 8 years ago called January. And boy, is that ever the case here? Because, of course, our January is like this. But we are excited about some sunshine in the forecast coming in the next bit. And, of course, then we'll be praying for rain to stop the wildfires. So it's always something, right?
Right. You can't win. I have a friend in Tennessee who's complaining about the cicadas. You know, I mean, it's something everywhere, right?
Yeah, the double cohort of cicadas. It's just unbelievable. Yeah. I always think of you when I'm out for my evening walk with the dogs. And, of course, this is mosquito/black fly season in Ontario. How are you getting hit this year with all the moisture? Are the mosquitoes having a field day?
There were quite a few mosquitoes out back, and we visited some friends at a provincial park, and they had fish flies already. And those things are awful because they don't have mouths and they just sit on you. So, yeah, it's been buggy. No black flies here, but I'm sure in the further north areas, I mean, Port Stanley, we're right on the edge of Lake Erie, but I'm sure further north they're getting them.
Wow. Are fish flies like shad flies?
Yes. No mouths. They don't live very long.
Okay.
But they're supposedly an indication of the health of the body of water. And we get them here. Everybody's like, yay.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so footwear when you're out camping and visiting provincial parks and stuff. You know that you don't usually wear open-toed stuff, but I did a little informal poll last week because, you know, those rubber things with the toe crotch that you wore as a kid, and somewhere now, Clark's make really nice ones. Well, now they're called flip-flops, right?
Yep. Yep.
But what did you used to call them when you were a kid?
Thongs.
Thongs.
We called them thongs. Yeah.
We did call them thongs. So I put out this little informal poll and asked, do you call them flip-flops or thongs? And, of course, a lot of people came on and said, well, not thongs. Those are underwear. Or we called them thongs before they became the underwear, and now they're flip-flops. But some said it was a regional thing in Canada. In the West, it was thongs, but you grew up in the East, so I think it really didn't have any scientific or geographical basis.
No, probably not. But I think I remember changing it to flip-flops because of thong underwear, because thong underwear hasn't been around forever, right? I mean, we haven't always worn the little tiny strand of material over our special places. And I think that's what happened. Maybe it's more generational. I don't know. But I was never allowed to wear them anyway, so...
What, flip-flops?
Yeah, only on a beach, and we didn't do beaches very often. My mom was always concerned about falling. And, you know, if you start running in flip-flops, you're susceptible to fall. I don't know. It was just a safety thing. Did you wear them?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, my stupidest, well, one of the stupidest things I did as a kid was my mom was getting her hair done. And we lived in the Ontario town of Trenton. And I thought I wanted to go and surprise her at the hair salon. You know, just what every mother wants when she's having a quiet hour in the chair, one of her kids, to show up. So I got on my banana seat bicycle and I rode to the hair salon. And as I was pulling up, my foot in my thong caught between the pedal and the curb. And suffice to say, I would have gotten 10% off a pedicure. Let's put it that way. Oh, no. It was bad. So I go into the salon and I'm crying and bleeding. And again, my mom is like, really? Really?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a good cautionary tale. Do not ride a bike in flip-flops or actually a thong for that matter.
Well, I mean, it is Pride Month, you know.
Totally. You do you.
Depending on where you go and if a parade's going on.
Truly.
I guess my mother's cautionary tale about safety was not so over the top.
I guess.
I wear open-toed shoes. I just have a thing about the sound of flip-flops. You know.
Oh, you and your sounds.
I know.
Sometime we have to talk about Lisa and people whistling around her. I think of you every time I'm in a hardware store. Oh, we're going to go there now. I'm going to go there now. I was going to talk about thongs, the underwear, but maybe that's not necessary. Perhaps we'll get back to that at the end, so to speak. How appropriate. So, Lisa has this thing, and we've never talked about this on this because I know you don't want to seem like that cranky person, but tell me your thing about whistlers and their mothers. Go ahead.
Whistler's mother. Yeah, why do their mothers let them whistle? The thing that bothers me about whistling, number one, I can't do it. Number two is when it's not a recognizable tune or there isn't a song that they're whistling along with. I find 9 times out of 10, this is just my own experience, my own lived experience, that it's an older man who's trying to look nonchalant, so he whistles. And it's some random tune that doesn't exist anywhere in the musical library, and I just find it so annoying. Why do you have to make noise? Well, I have a thing about noise anyway, but why do you have to make noise? Just because I don't get it.
I think it's just being happy. Sometimes people are providing their own soundtrack as they walk along through the aisles in the hardware store. I don't know, but...
Be happy on your own time. Be happy in your own house. Don't be happy around me.
You know what your problem is? You're jealous because you can't whistle.
It may be. That may be part of it because I can't. It's possible. But I'm just going to take a kazoo, Aaron. I'm going to take a kazoo to stores with me.
That would be hilarious.
And when I'm feeling happy, I'll just start on my kazoo, and we'll see how much people like that.
Well, you're sure to get your own lineup, honey. That's for sure. Everybody's going to go to another lineup. Which reminds me of something I read the other day. When the self-checkout is closed, what does that mean? Am I getting a break? Am I on break? Okay. Well, we have been all over the map here. Started with flip-flops, moved to thongs, gonna pick up the thongs, or pick them out a little later on. And, of course, Lisa's whistling. So there we go. What a great way to start the show. And I talked about the 70s because, banana seat bicycles and all that. But there was a study asking North Americans to identify the best decade since the 1930s. And, of course, today especially, we're going back to the 1940s and D-Day and the tremendous sacrifices that happened on this day in history. But people basically answered one thing, and that was when they were kids. I get that, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And it didn't matter how old they were now. They went back to the same eras for the same questions, same eras of their own lives. Like, we could argue with millennials till we turn blue in the face as to when the best music was out. And they would say when they were between 12 and 15, and so would we. But that was a long time earlier, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, if I look at the 70s, I think of, dancing crazily in my living room to the soundtrack from Saturday Night Fever. I think of ELO. You would think of the rock bands.
ABBA.
Oh, ABBA, for sure. Yeah. And, of course, it was prime rock time then, too, right?
It sure was. Now, some of us take it too far and think we've got to go back to those days. But we were kids then. We didn't have mortgages and all of these other responsibilities, so things were a little bit different. And I don't know, I look at kids now, and it's not really envy, but I just think, I just remember that free feeling when everything was new and you're experiencing some things for the first time. And things did seem better.
It's all our filters, right? Because if they go back, they ask, okay, when was the best fashion, the best music, the best sports? Then people focus on the ages of 16 to 19, because I guess that's kind of the time in your life when you start noticing things like fashion, like, oh my God, I've got to have Earth shoes.
Yes.
Or if I don't have Dr. Scholl's, talk about flip-flops, those things, walking on little slabs of plastic or allegedly wood or whatever the heck they were.
But they were good for you.
That's what they said. Exactly. Do you know Dr. Scholl was not actually a doctor? He wasn't even a doctor.
I know.
That's the funny part. Yeah. So this is what we look back on, but the decade with the most close-knit communities when we were aged 4 to 7.
And that's across the board, right? The memory of, Mom said come inside when the streetlights came on, or we could play in the yard and nobody was hovering over us, or whatever it was. It's the same age range no matter what your life was like back in those days. Weird.
Yeah. And those ages, it's just amazing. When we watch our grandkids or you watch any playground, you see kids just showing up and saying, hey, let's play the floor is lava, or let's do this, let's do that. It's not like, okay, who did you vote for in the last election? Or, are you like me? It doesn't matter. Just hearts coming together and kids who don't even know each other's names or know one thing about the other kid. Like, Hayden, Braden, Jaden, Caden likes grape popsicles, same as me. And so suddenly there is that attachment. There is that connection. And it's like, come on, let's play. Wouldn't that be the most wonderful way to be when you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond?
There is a video that went around, and I will find it and share it to our Facebook page. And it is of little kids who are either different races or whatever, and they're being asked, what's the difference between the two of you? And they look at each other, and they can't come up with anything.
Wow.
Because they're innocent little kids, right?
Right.
It's not like, you're a boy and I'm a girl, or you're black and I'm white, or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's really sweet, and it's exactly what you've been talking about right now. Yeah.
That sense of community comes up so hugely in a story about loneliness and the age when we're loneliest in our lives. So we go from talking about, kids who can just bond over nothing and just play their brains out and say, okay, bye, see you never. And the age when we're sitting alone and feeling lonely or longing for some kind of connection. There's new research, Lisa, that suggests people tend to be lonelier in young adulthood and late life, but it doesn't have to be that way. In an age when participation in community organizations, clubs, even religious groups has declined and more social interaction is happening online instead of face-to-face,
right.
Some young people, it's not just us, postmenopausal folks, are reporting levels of loneliness that used to be associated with people in our age group.
It's kind of sad, and it's harder to make friends when you get older, too, isn't it? It's not as organic. You have to make some effort.
It's true. People in midlife, they make more connections because they're often interacting with, who did you interact with? Coworkers, a spouse, 2, 3 even, children, and others in their community. But as people get older, these opportunities start to fall away. And more recently, like in the past decade, participants at either end of the age spectrum were more likely to agree with the statement, I miss having people around me, or my social relationships are superficial. I wonder how much, Lisa, COVID had to do with that.
Yeah.
Losing the social muscle of being able to interact.
And everything moving so fast these days. And the meetings online were great to get us through. Mm-hmm. But for some of us, like me and many people I've talked to who are more introverted extroverts, kind of dug it,
Yep.
Kind of like not having to do the face-to-face thing. And it's unfortunate. I forced myself to get out and do it, though. In our little village of Port Stanley, there are all sorts of things, like tons of just different social things. But I know people take cooking classes, they take pottery, they do all sorts of things to get out and meet people. But it doesn't always result in a connection. So what do you do, right?
Well, they suggest having at least 4 to 6 close relationships. Do yourself a relationship audit. And don't wait till you're old to discover that you lack a good quality social network, because the older you get, the harder it is to form new connections. So form those 4 to 6 close relationships or pare them down if you can. And what's important is variety and quality. Also, ask yourself, are you able to rely on and support the people in your life? Are your relationships mostly positive rather than negative? So if the answer is yes to the relying and the positivity, those relationships are beneficial to your mental and physical well-being. Now, another thing is join a group. Join a group. Pickleball has been a really good thing for people who are no longer feeling like they can run the tennis court or do other things.
Yeah.
It's a great sport for people who still want to be out and athletic and playing a game, and it's not going to kill them.
Right, and that's where those classes and different things come in, too, where you can find something. At least you start with something in common.
It's true. Isolation isn't the only thing that can contribute to loneliness, being alone. I mean, you get to an age where you'll like being alone, but there's a difference between that, enjoying your alone time, and being isolated. Loneliness can stem from a disconnect between what you want or expect from your relationships and what those relationships are providing. So you can seek new connections by joining a community group, having a common goal like you have with fireworks. We're going to talk about that in a second. Volunteering. Boy, what volunteering has done for Rob and for me. It is life-changing in every single possible way.
It really is. Derek is a huge volunteer, and he's got friends coming out his thong area. Yeah.
Here's something from that study that we already knew, that heavy social media use is linked to poor mental health. Sometimes I migrate over to X and I'm just blocking so many accounts that I'm thinking, why am I even here? I just don't want to be here. So I stick to Threads. But they also say if you're talking with somebody via text or something, why not say, hey, do you have a second for a phone call? And so often, somebody will say yes. And if they don't, well, then maybe schedule one a little bit later on or go for a walk with them. That way you're getting your exercise and your fresh air, but you're also having that time talking with somebody special to you.
Right. People have been forcing me into phone calls, and I'm starting to get better about them because everything became predictable during the pandemic.
Right.
You knew if somebody was going to Zoom with you or whatever was going to happen. It just seemed things became more predictable. And I'm trying to shake that off. And I don't think I'm alone in that either. And just going, you know what? It's okay if someone calls me when I'm in my studio and I don't catch it and I have to call them back. It just feels like a bigger burden than it used to, which is silly. It's just all perception.
It is. And in some ways, it's an age thing. There are people now who feel like a phone call is as bad as someone showing up and knocking at your door. And this is another thing I'm hearing. Don't leave a voicemail. I don't want a voicemail. What? I can't even leave a voicemail? Okay.
Wow.
I'm going to text you now then. I'll be careful. I'll take care of our social boundaries and all that kind of thing. So know what the boundaries are with the person that you're kind of having this relationship with. But funnily enough, in the last week, Lisa, I received phone calls from 2 friends in their 90s, and they just wanted to hear my voice. And it's like, yes, that is important. And we forget that, right?
Yes, we do.
Which ties in, I think, with our final point on this whole thing, which we hope has been helpful. The small acts of kindness. People don't mind you so much reaching out to them. If you're contacting them, not to ask for something, not to unburden yourself on them, which I've been doing on you. I am so guilty of that this past week.
That's friendship. That's friendship. It's a trade-off.
God. No.
Yeah.
No. I messaged Lisa the other day with this litany of horrible things that are happening in our lives. My dad in the hospital and all the stuff going on that I swore I wasn't going to talk about this week because I'm tired of being Debbie Downer. Davis Downer. And then you're telling me, I'm just coming back from visiting friends in a provincial park. And I thought, damn it, Erin, stop that. She's on her way home from such a sunny thing, and you made a little picnic table for the chipmunks, you crazy kid. What the heck was that?
We didn't make it. We bought it.
Okay.
We bought it already made. No, but that's authenticity. That's friendship. I want to know. It would break my heart if I thought that you were not telling me because you were afraid you're going to bring me down or something, because it doesn't bring me down. I think that's friendship. And next time it'll be me. So there you go.
Oh, God. No, just kidding. Oh, not her again. No. So I guess what's important is you don't always make it about you, and be sure if you are unloading to say, and how are you? And then listen, because friendships do have to go both ways. And we're lucky to have this one. So, Lisa, baby, you're a firework. What is going on with you and your community and fireworks? Because, a lot of people are going to be stocking up for July the 1st. I heard of a lot of people in the States last week setting them off on May 30th, the day of 34 guilty announcements. But, what's going on with you and fireworks, girl?
Well, it's not me so much as a group called Forever Wildlife Rehabilitation that's in Port Stanley, and they come and get wild animals that are in distress or whatever. I had a raccoon, you may remember, a few months ago, and they came and got it, but they have discovered, this woman, Colleen, who runs this organization, is year after year finding dead fawns after fireworks.
Oh, no!
Like for the 24th or whatever. So what happens is the deer family gets spooked by the fireworks. They don't know what it is. The mother runs one way, the fawn runs the other, and they don't find each other, and the fawn dies.
No.
It's awful. So she sold these signs for $10. I put one on my lawn. Many, many, many people did. And what the idea was please don't set fireworks off during May when the fawns are young and they can't possibly survive on their own. And so it was just for the month of May. And some people said there were fireworks down by the beach a couple times. Colleen did write on Facebook that she reunited a fawn with its mother, and that took a day, trying to get them back together.
Are you my mother?
Exactly. So that's what it was about, and it seems to have been mostly successful. But of course, we're a tourist town, and people will do whatever they do. And the point isn't to lose your mind if somebody sets off fireworks, but just to educate people that this has a real consequence for some of our wildlife friends.
Oh, yeah. And when you put it in terms of fawns and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Just in our backyard on the weekend, all through rainy May and April, there was a mama deer who would lie down in our backyard, and we can see it because we're a level up from the yard. And I could watch her getting bigger, and I thought, oh, I know, you've got a bun in the oven. And sometimes two, right? But there was just one with this one. So the other day, while the kids were here, there was Mama and the fawn. And Mom would go ahead, and the fawn would go spring, catching up with her. Oh, Lisa. So, yeah, you get me right in the feels when you talk about deer being separated from each other. But often people who set off fireworks, not all, but often, they have been separated from either their sobriety or their brains. So good luck with the messaging, but you're trying. You're doing something community. That's wonderful.
I just think this woman is pretty amazing. And you don't have to live in the sticks here to appreciate the issues with fireworks. I mean, your dog might go in the bathtub or hide under the bed or whatever,
Cats, too. Oh, and it's not all angry, rah, rah, rah. It's please. That's nice, too.
Yeah.
All right, we promised we'd circle back. One of those terms that people hate in meetings. Okay, we won't say circle back. We'll say full circle, especially depending on where you wear it. But thongs as undergarments. Yes or no?
Not anymore.
Oh, so you did?
Oh, yeah. You?
Occasionally, depends on the pants.
Right.
What you say about, it doesn't matter, you're over 60, you're invisible, which of course doesn't really apply. But on the days when I'm feeling like somebody might be watching me leave, if only for the joy of seeing me leave the room and have some quiet, then I'm going to make sure I don't have VPL. Did you call it VPL back in the day?
No, we never called it that.
VPL, visible panty line.
No, we never called it that. We did call it panty lines. No, and I don't even think I have any thongs anymore. I think I have panties that match my skin color to wear if I wear something light.
Oh, I can't find any in blotchy and veiny. I'll have to look for that. Nice Argyle socks. Oh, thanks. I was wearing no socks.
Oh, Aaron. I always remember Jeff Foxworthy saying that a thong looked like when you go bowling, it'd cut you right in half.
Uh-huh. It might. I remember my mom was in her 70s, and I bought her a few for some white pants she was wearing. I don't even know if she wore them, but she went along for the ride. Unfortunately, so did the thong, and that's all we need to say about that.
Oh, my goodness. Another word was butt floss.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is a good time to wrap it up for the week. What do you think?
Oh, not a bad idea.
Okay. Our thanks to Sierra Sill and to Envy Pillow for being here with us week in, week out. We appreciate you, but most of all, we appreciate you writing to us, commenting, asking questions, and you can do so on our Facebook page at Gracefully and Frankly, or by email.
Yeah, anytime. gracefullyfrankly@gmail.com. We love to get your notes and your questions and your comments.
Yeah, got one about Sierra Sill the other day and forwarded it right to the boss. So it's all good, and we will talk to you again next week. Thank you, Miss Lisa.
You're welcome. Thank you, Aaron Davis.